Welcome back to another edition of This Week in 3 Minutes. I've called this one Petro Currencies and Gold. Well, what is going on with the gold price right now? Short term still remains to be seen. We're seeing it back into this 1290 range where it seems to be kind of like a bungee cord. You can't get too far away from that. Anyways, we're stuck where that is for the time being until something else happens. But what I really wanted to talk about this week is something I've been doing a lot of reading and thinking about. Why are these central banks around the world, especially Eastern Europe and the further east, why have they been acquiring gold so much gold, so like enormous purchases? What is going on? Why are these countries forming a trading bloc? Why are they doing everything they can to establish a system where they don't need other currencies? Well, I think it comes down to the energy markets, and oil in particular. The world changed in the 20th century with the introduction of oil as an energy source. I don't think most people in the West could even imagine what it would be like to live in a world without oil, like they did in the 19th century. I don't think they could imagine it. In fact, if we suddenly weren't able to get cheap oil, I don't know, maybe we'd all have to be driving battery-powered cars with solar roofs and solar this and electricity that. And interesting, that seems to be the direction the world's going for whatever reason, call it global warming or whatever. But maybe there's something more to it. And I did some checking. Some interesting developments in the control of the flow of oil in the 20th century and in the 21st. In the 50s, did you even know that there was a Soviet Petro ruble introduced? It fell apart. It's a long story, but in the 70s, of course, that was when the U.S. really had a tremendous opportunity, and they seized on it and created the petrodollar system, where the Saudis wouldn't fight against anybody as long as, but they would only trade their oil in US dollar terms. Everything sort of normalized in the Middle East, and the Yom Kippur War was over. And we've basically been on a petrodollar system since, but there have been challengers, and the pace upon which the petrodollar system is being challenged is increasing. So when the 2003 we had the Iraqis try and introduce a petro/euro dinar system. That didn't end well. 2005 Venezuela introduced a Petro-Carib, which is a trading bloc for oil in Central America and the Caribbean. Well, we know what Venezuela looks like right now. 2009, Libya tried to introduce a petro-gold dinar system. That didn't end well. 2014, the Russians introduced the petro-ruble. Most people probably don't even know what that is. In 2018, of course, China launched the petro-yuan contract. So what's going on here, in my opinion, is the increased pace upon which countries have been challenging the petrodollar system, only it's no longer now just one country challenging. Now it's a block of countries working together with their own trading system and their own. I think they're building up and gearing up towards a new currency for those regions, and they're going to bypass the US dollar, and the untold impact that's going to have on the global economy, certainly in the United States, has yet to be seen. But think about that for a minute. The entire strength of the U.S. petrodollar system is dependent on the world using U.S. dollars to buy oil. What happens when they stop needing U.S. dollars? What does that do to other real things? When the dollar, obviously, just in the last year or two, there's been $1 trillion in debt added on to the U.S. budget. It took 200 years to get their first trillion. It was only $8 billion or so when Obama took office. And now it's $22 trillion. So things are a mess. The energy markets are going to be impacted by the changes being made by these countries around the world, unifying their relationships and bypassing kind of the old guard. And what that means to gold remains to be seen, but I think you can expect that in the near future and to the mid to long-term future, the price of gold will be substantially higher than it is, and unfortunately I also think so will energy. So in the meantime, just some food for thought. Have yourself a great weekend. See you next